Hi again. Thank you so much for this talk. Thank you, Agatha. I want to take you back to a question that Agatha had posed to you. And you always advise, not to put all your eggs in one basket. So if you're to diversify your portfolio, would you then advise that having a yin-yang balance of physical assets and financial assets will be good? And in regard to that, for example, if you're looking at a physical asset, let's say you build a home, but in this situation, you try to diversify it in such a way you have a piece of land, let's say it's a 50 by 100, and then you build maybe rentals, 3, 4 stories, and you live in one of them and you're renting the others. So maybe in future, if you have kids, each one gets an apartment. But you get my drift here. So in terms of that yin and yang balance, would then having, you know, this kind of a physical asset be a good choice? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. That's a good question, but let me clarify. Let me start by clarifying. I never advise putting in one basket. I guess you're seeing financial assets as one basket, but they are not actually one basket. I'd never say put 100% of your investment in SACCO or in this. You need to diversify. In fact, I always tell people you have to diversify. Right now, because government bonds have been paying very high rates, there are some people with 90% of their wealth tied or on those bonds. But if they asked their cousins in Ghana and Zambia what happened to their government bonds, they would realize it's a bad idea. So even within financial assets, there is loads of them. And you should diversify across financial assets, not one asset. Now, when you talked about the apartments you build, then you live in one, it's better than doing nothing, by the way. But still, it's not as good as financial assets. That's my point. It's okay, but it's not as good as financial assets. Let me try and tell you why now. Let's take your example about this apartment which you live in with then you have your kids. You see, I keep reminding people, but again, we are now just seeing. Remember the way life plays out. The house you need when you have kids is not the same one you need when you grow old. Neither is it the one you need when you are young. You will find a lot of people. So if you had a 3, 4 bedroom, but now you're alone, you need a 1 bedroom or even a 2 bedroom. So a lot of, that's why I was saying you have this family home you built, but again, when you grow old, many people are either their parents have retired back, some of them in the rural areas. Those who are in Nairobi and their parent lives in a big compound and there is one parent left there, sometimes even security becomes a problem. So there are a lot of issues around those physical assets. And yes, you can pass them on to your kids, it is fine, but it is not as easy, that's the point, as financial assets. That's where the issue is. It's not as easy. Is it doable? Yeah, and people are doing it, but it's not as easy.
Okay, so her question, she wants to know, should she do both, where she has the physical assets and she has the financial assets? So let's say her net worth is 15 million. Is it okay for her to have 7 million in physical assets and 8 million in financial assets? Would that be a good thing?
I got it. Maybe I hadn't quite understood the question. So I think you've heard of the third rule kind of things. Third, you can put in real assets. Third, you can put in liquid assets. Third, you can put in equities. So yes, there are a lot of people who, because they have so much cash. Let me give you a good example. Most hotels in the world are not owned by the people who manage those hotels. I don't know if you know that. Marriott, Hilton. When you see these guys, they don't own the hotels they manage. If you go to Dubai and see all those hotels, they're not owned by the managers. So who owns them? Those assets are normally owned by people who have a very different problem. They have too much cash, too much liquid. So they buy these hotels as a way to park money purely for capital appreciation. They are not looking for the annual return. The guy who makes the money from running the hotel is not the guy who owns the building. It's the Marriott. But this guy has parked that money because after 15 years, they'll sell that hotel and make the capital appreciation. Because, of course, what is happening to the property, its value is appreciating as the amount of dollars per bed you have to pay for a bed. You know, if that bed was $100 10 years ago, today it's $200. So if you have too much cash and too much, you can park some of it in real assets, yes, as a way to diversify. But the reality is that in Africa, we have the opposite problem. That's the reality. Those are problems that are held by a different set of people. Yeah. So, like now, pension funds, for example, in Kenya. We have got a lot of pension funds in Kenya. Today, we have over 32 pension funds in Kenya that have invested up to 5 billion shillings into the Econ REITs. Those are pension funds because they have a lot of cash. And where do they deploy this cash? They need to deploy it to earn. And they can't put it all in one side of things. But you see, unless you're a pension fund, for most individuals, that's not the situation you'll tend to find yourself. But yes, if you find yourself in the happy situation where you're so liquid, it's too much now, it's popping out of the mouth and ears, then you can pack it into real assets. Yeah.